Is working from home truly the dream? For some of us, it is, but for others, not so much. Let's dive in to see if that reality is all it's cracked up to be. Hey, my friend, welcome back to Resourceful Designer. I'm Mark Decote, and today we're tackling a topic that I think a lot of you have romanticized, maybe even dreamed about, and that's working from home. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mark, aren't you the guy who talks about running a design business from home? Yeah, I am. But here's the thing. Just because it's possible doesn't mean it's right for everyone. And if you're going to do it, you need to go in with your eyes wide open. Now, today I'm stripping away the myth and looking at the reality of what working from home actually entails. And trust me, it's not always what the Instagram influencers make it out to be. Let me start with a story. I grew up watching my mom struggle with the idea of, quote-unquote, working from home. She'd occasionally sell baked goods or handcrafted jewelry at craft fairs, and she'd drag me along for the ride. But here's what I noticed. She loved the idea of working from home. She loved the dreaming about it part. She loved the creating part of making the things. But actually doing it, running it as a business, that was a different story entirely. And here's what I realized over the years, and I think this applies to many graphic and web designers. Most people aren't realistic about what working from home actually means. Now, the stigma of working from home has changed a lot since I started my business back in 2005. Back then, I would often get strange looks when I mentioned it and get questions like, "Are you just doing this until you find a real job?" Because working from home was not the norm. Fast forward 20 plus years, especially in a post-pandemic world, and working from home is no longer looked down upon. Actually, it's quite the opposite, in fact. I can't tell you how many times I hear someone now who finds out that I work from home and they say, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or, "Oh, that must be so nice." Some people even ask me if I can help them to get set up for working from home. But here's what I think is happening. Most people see working from home as some kind of magical opportunity, not necessarily as a business. They don't see it the way you should see your design practice, as a legitimate business venture that requires discipline, requires structure, and it requires hard work. I think a lot of this comes from back in the 90s when the internet exploded, and suddenly there were websites everywhere promising work-from-home jobs. And some of them were legitimate, but most of them, they were just complete scams. Yes, you could work from home stuffing envelopes and make $4,000 a week, or earn $2,000 a week by taking surveys. These sort of sites, they preyed on people's desperation, their naivete, and their desire to make easy money. And as a result, we got this kind of distorted view of working from home as this myth, something easy, something passive, something that just happens to lucky people. But here's the truth. As much as people dream about working from home, fewer of those folks would actually want to do it if they understood everything it entails. Now, let me emphasize, running a business from home is not the same thing as working remotely for an employer. The major difference is accountability. When you work remotely, you still need to be accountable to your employer. But when you run a business yourself from your home, you need to be accountable to yourself and, of course, your clients. And if you're a graphic or a web designer or any other type of designer for that matter, and you are thinking of going solo, or if you already work from home and you're struggling, I want you to hear this loud and clear. What you're experiencing is real work, not some watered down, half-effort version of work. It's real, legitimate, challenging work. It's normal. It's just the location happens to be your home. Let's talk about this directly. When you work from home as a designer, you're not somehow bypassing the need to work. You're not becoming independently wealthy overnight. You're not living some passive income dream where money just flows in while you sip coffee and watch Netflix. Unless you've built significant passive income streams, which, by the way, take a lot of work up front, you're going to be actively working for every dollar you earn. And here's something I see a lot of designers struggle with: the belief that if you're doing the work you love, it doesn't count as real work. There's this saying that's been floating around for years: do what you'll love and you'll never work a day in your life. Or, when you do what you love, the paycheck is just a perk. You know what I think about those sayings? They're just setting you up for failure. And here's why. Yes, you love design. It's why you became a designer. And yes, you probably love crafting beautiful work for your clients. But do you love everything about running your design business? Do you love the invoicing? Do you love chasing down late payments? Do you love dealing with difficult clients? Do you love doing your taxes? I'm guessing the answer to these questions is no. The truth is, even the work you love comes with parts that you don't love. And more importantly, you still need a paycheck to survive. And not everyone can make it on passion alone. And anyone who tells you differently is just trying to sell you something. And here's the reality for a lot of solopreneur designers. If your paycheck is inconsistent, which it often is when you're running your own show, a small paycheck isn't enough of a quote-unquote perk to keep you motivated when the times are tough. You need to be honest with yourself upfront about this, because if you're not, you're going to be spending half your career questioning whether you should keep doing design at all, simply because you don't love it all the time. And that's not a design problem, that's a life problem. Nobody loves everything they do all the time. And this may be why the statistics say that 70 to 90% of freelance designers quit within the first 5 years. It's because they don't realize how much work actually goes into running a design business. Okay, so one of the biggest selling points of working from home is the flexibility, right? And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the flexibility. As someone running a business from home, I can schedule my day around my needs, my client needs, and my personal needs. But here's somewhere else where people get it wrong. Flexibility does not mean work only when you feel like it. For designers especially, flexibility means that you can shift your schedule around, but you still have to work. You still have deadlines. You still have client expectations. You still have projects that need to be delivered. What flexibility really means is that you have to manage yourself. There's no boss telling you when to work. There's no corporate structure forcing you to be in the office at 9. But that freedom, it comes with the responsibility of self-management. And self-management is harder than it sounds. Let me give you an example. With this freedom, you can pick up your kid from school at 3 p.m. and spend the rest of the afternoon with them. But that might mean you're working at 10 p.m. to make up for it, or you're working on Saturday morning, or you're squeezing in a client call during your lunch break. You see, the flexibility is there, but it's not unlimited. You have to make tough choices. Do I spend time with my family right now, or do I work? And if I choose my family, when am I going to work instead? A flexible schedule is a tool, but like any tool, you have to know how to use it, or it's going to use you. Now let's talk about the actual work, and this is a big one. This is where a lot of you are going to experience the real shock when you start working from home. And that is that you're probably going to work more than you ever did in a traditional job. And many designers don't realize this. And why is that? Well, let me kind of break this down for you. First, when you work for someone else, when you're employed by a design agency, for example, you get certain things as part of your compensation package. You get tax withholdings handled for you. You may get health insurance. You get sick days. You get paid time off. Plus, you get a guaranteed paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. But when you work from home as a freelancer or solopreneur, you get none of that. you have to cover all of that yourself, which means you have to earn more to make up for those benefits you're no longer getting. You have to earn more to make up for that vacation time that you're taking off. Think about it. If you were making $50,000 a year at your agency job, you might need to bring in $60,000 or $70,000 as a freelancer just to have the same lifestyle, because you're now paying for your own taxes, your insurance, and everything else. Second is your income is probably, if not definitely, going to be inconsistent. Some months are fat and some months are lean. And when you know a lean month is coming, you have to hustle. You have to take on more projects. You work harder to make sure you hit your income goals. And third, and this is the psychological part, it's easy to tell yourself to do just one more thing when your office is in your home. If you finish your project at 6 p.m. and instead of packing it in and getting up, you think, well, I'm already here. Let me just knock out this one more task. It'll only take a few minutes. And then there's another. And before you know it, it's 9 p.m. and you've worked a 12-hour day. Hard work can be addictive. Success can be addictive. And when you're running your own business, the temptation to always be working is real. And some people have a hard time turning that off. And work-life balance? Good luck with that. I find it fascinating how many designers tell me they want to work from home for better work-life balance. And I get it. I really do. The idea of managing your schedule, spending more time with family, and reducing stress, that all sounds amazing. But here's the reality. The lines between work and home become incredibly blurred when you work from home. In some cases, your bedroom may become your office, or your kitchen table becomes your desk. Even if you have a dedicated workspace, it's usually only a few steps from the rest of your home. Plus, your evenings may become work time. Your weekends may become work time. Let me be honest with you. There were only 2 days in December when I didn't spend some time in my office working, and that was Christmas Day and the day after. And you know what I felt? Guilt. I felt serious, nagging guilt, because taking a break doesn't feel like self-care when you're running your own business. It feels like you're falling behind. It feels like you're leaving money on the table. It feels like you're letting your clients down or yourself down. And the mental gymnastics that you go through just to justify getting back to work, I'll just go check my email and that's it. Or I'll just have one quick look at that project again. I want to get my eyes on it one more time. Or I'll just review that one proposal. And before you know it, you're right back in work mode. And the irony is that the very thing you thought would improve your work-life balance, working from home, often makes it harder to maintain. Because now your office isn't somewhere you go to and then leave. The office is your home. It's always there. It's always calling you. And here's something else that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. And that's how working from home can be incredibly lonely. I think a lot of people assume that loneliness is something that only affects people who live alone. But that's not true. I've had my kids at home with me while I was working. My wife often works from home in her own office. And yet I still sometimes experience loneliness. Why is that? Well, it's because kids, bless their hearts, cannot fulfill an adult's need for professional conversation, collaboration, or peer interaction. Yes, it's easier with a spouse, but unless they're also in the same profession as you, it's hard to communicate work stuff with them. A lot of people, and I think this applies to a lot of designers, don't realize how much of their social and emotional needs are actually being met by their work environment. If you go to an office, you interact with colleagues, you grab lunch with somebody, you have a casual conversation by the water cooler. These things matter more than we realize. And my wife has the freedom to work from the office or work from home. She gets to choose. And she often goes into the office just for those interactions. She'll tell me, I'm going in today just because I want to be around people. But when you work from home all the time, you lose that. And if you're not intentional about replacing it with someone else, such as video chats that we do in the resourceful designer community, that loneliness can really creep up on you. It could affect your mental health. It can affect your motivation. It can also affect your creativity. The reality is that working from home can take a real mental and emotional toll if you're not prepared for it. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you live with family, friends, roommates, or by yourself. Loneliness is about connection, and professional connection is different from personal connection. You need both. And loneliness isn't the only concern. Let's talk about something else that doesn't get enough attention, and that's staying healthy while working from home. That takes a real concentrated effort. When you work from home, it's easy to fall into unhealthy patterns. You stay up late because you're caught up on a project. You work in your pajamas, which, hey, is great sometimes. I love doing it. But it does blur the line between rest and work. You end up skipping meals because you're so focused that you forget to get up and eat. You don't exercise because, well, the gym is out there and your office is in here. We all know this, right? Most of us need routines to stay healthy. We need regular meal times. We need daily exercise. We need to get outside and see the sun. I'm lucky that I have a dog and I need to take him out every single day, twice a day for a walk. And that gets me out walking as well. Plus, we need social interactions with people who aren't in our immediate household. But for some reason, when you work from home, all of these things suddenly become optional. And if you're someone who tends to fall into unhealthy patterns without some sort of structure, working from home is going to require you to be very intentional about maintaining those healthy routines. It's like gaming or any other absorbing hobby. It's easy to get sucked in and lose track of time. You can coop yourself up for hours, days, without even realizing it. The isolation and the lack of structure of working for yourself can make it incredibly difficult to maintain the healthy habits you might have had if you were in a more traditional work environment. And that's not weakness. That's just human nature. We're creatures of habit and structure. Remove the structure, and a lot of us struggle. Now, I know I'm sounding very negative about this whole work from home thing, but really, I'm not. I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I cannot imagine myself not working from home. I love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I also know that this lifestyle isn't for everyone, and that's what I want you to understand. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. Do you really want to work from home? Not the fantasy version where you wake up whenever you want and work from a beach in Bali. Not the version where money magically appears in your bank account. And not the version where you get to spend all day doing creative work with no business headaches. But the real vision. The version where you have to be disciplined, where you have to manage yourself, where you might work more than you ever have before, where loneliness might creep up on you, where the lines between work and home get blurry, where you're responsible for every aspect of your business. Is that something you want to do? Because here's the thing, not everybody is cut out for it. And that's okay. That's not personal failing. It just means that working from home isn't the right fit for you, and there is no shame in that. What matters is being honest with yourself up front. I think a lot of designers go into working from home thinking it's going to solve all their problems. It's going to give them freedom, flexibility, more money, a better life. And sometimes it does. But it's not a magic solution. Even me, someone who genuinely loves what I do and truly loves the flexibility of working from home, I have days where it gets old, where it feels challenging, where I'm not even sure it's worth it. But the difference is, I went in knowing what I was signing up for. I understood the trade-offs, and I made the choice anyway. So my challenge to you is this. Be honest with yourself about why you want to work from home. What problem do you think it's going to solve? And are you prepared for the challenges that come with it? Because if you prepare yourself for the realities, if you understand the difficulties ahead of time, you're going to be much better positioned to make it long term. if that's what you choose to do. You won't be one of those 70 to 90% who fail within 5 years. Working from home isn't a magic ticket. It's not easier, it's not more relaxing, it's not less challenging, it's just different. And different can be great, but only if you go in with realistic expectations. So take some time this week and really think about working from home would mean for you. Not the dream version, the real version. And then make your decision from there. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in to Resourceful Designer. Hey, if you found this helpful, please subscribe if you're not already, and leave me a review wherever it is you're listening. But most importantly, share this episode with another designer you know who may be considering working from home. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay creative. And now, here is the final intro by Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com. Thank you, Wayne, for all of these intros, all 360 of them that you've done for me over the years. So take it away.
And now your host, the man with the English first name and the French last name, Marc Decote.
Yes, that is true. And the funny thing is that my French last name is my father's, but my father is completely English. And my English first name was chosen by my mother, who was very, very French. In fact, when the two of them started dating, neither was able to speak the other's language. Wrap your brain around that one.